it's love again. And I pulled up in the color bins, choking, staying hard through my Prada lens. You standing there looking fine as a Kardashian. I hopped out, grabbed her hand and asked her, Ken, not marriage, no not yet, but what's the chances of dinner time? 6 plus sex, she said it equals us, pass the Dutch, and you could keep the clutch. Cause my love for you was automatic, had to have it. Now I'm living lavish, so many different whips, and every day new Gucci, Prada, and Louis baggage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Married with Knowledge. I am your host, Terry, here with my good aunt, as you know, Mr. Clemont Brown. What's going on, Aunt?
What's up? What's up?
All right. Today is a very special one for y'all. It's very special to me personally. You'll find out a little later. But we have Miss Shanika Jackson here joining us today. How you doing, sis?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you for coming on Married with Knowledge. We definitely appreciate it. And we also have Mr. George Daly here joining us today. How you doing, George?
I'm doing well. Hello, everybody.
Yes, sir. Um, on this show, y'all know we are as real as possible. You know, me and Unc, we talk about our experiences, and you may hear a lot about the good things that go on in marriages. Um, but there are some things that are not so good in marriages. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to bring our guests on today and talk about something that probably is the worst thing that can happen in a marriage, and that's losing a spouse. Um, this is going to be, raw emotion for them, I'm pretty sure. So basically, I just kind of want to open up and ask you, sis. For you who don't know, Miss Shanika Jackson is married to my brother, Mr. Kenny Jackson, who left us suddenly, and it kind of struck all of us. So as a brother, I know how I felt. So I can't even imagine, how you felt. So basically, I just want you to open up by, just explaining that sudden change and how you had to kind of adjust on the fly.
So first I'll just start off with I was with my husband since I was 18. I'll be 40 in May, and he just left me a little over a year ago. So that just lets you know the history. I was with him for half of the time I've been on this earth. So it was very devastating, especially being that it was something that was so unexpected. It wasn't. I was expecting him to come home, when he got sick, and he never did. Um, it's unexplainable. I don't even know if I can explain the feeling or the thought process of it. But living in it now, um, I know God is good and I know He's real. I questioned Him at first, how you take such a great person, so I was raised in church. My mom, is very, she's really in the church. So I found myself questioning God, when that happened, because you allow, in my mind, you allow all the bad people to live long, but you take the good ones, super fast. And it's very, very, it's unfortunate and it's unfair. And I know that we all have our day, right? We just don't know when. So I wasn't expecting it. You talking about shattered, broken, lonely. Um, it was hard because we got 4 kids, so I had to, try to be strong for my kids, and every day is different, you know. Even over a year later, I'm still trying to find who I am, because all I really knew was him, since I was 18 years old. Not perfect, but that was my everything. He was my everything, like my everyday, my stalker. um, and we take that for granted, when they're here on earth. We know we got tomorrow. We think we got tomorrow with them, but tomorrow is never promised, and that was something I had to live through. You know, we say it, we talk it, but to go through it was something that was really heartbreaking, and it was really hard for me. But the support of my family kept me, you know, on the up and up and kept me going. I can't fathom people who don't have a support system, you know, what they go through or how that feels, because they're the ones that you need to keep you uplifted, you know. And my husband was such a good person. He was the man. He was my man. That was my baby.
He was the man. You said it
He
Yeah.
right. He was
was
the
the
man.
man.
Oh my, and now, you know, it's crazy to say that. He always would say, like, do you know who I am? Yeah, you Kenny Jackson. That's all you know, but upon him passing, I guess I really got to see, like, oh my God. Yeah, I guess I
Mhm.
didn't know who you was, you know?
Impact is crazy.
I think I had the best thing, you know, out here, you know, in my mind. He wasn't perfect.
Right.
Um, starting where we came from, you know, nothing's never perfect, but going from the beginning to just watching him transition and transform into the man that I knew he could be. Because
Hmm.
when we
We
leave, we
are.
out.
Listen,
We
We talk about it all
it,
the time.
it,
yeah,
Potential, the love, you know.
literally, literally.
Yes.
mhm.
And I'm just gonna jump in. Kenny was like a son to me, you know. We had good times. He traveled basketball, you know, we joked, he jumping on my back. You know how he was. But you know, I'm glad you say that there's, because me and Terry talk about there's no marriage or relationship that's perfect,
Nope.
but that he's for you,
Yeah.
and y'all grew together. I watched y'all grow as a couple. Mistakes always going to happen, but the way y'all stuck together and worked through those issues was amazing. And he was the man, and his funeral proved it.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
and we just wanted to still let his legacy live on, because you know, and that's why we brought you on here. We wanted you to tell your story, because a lot of times we take our marriage for granted.
Yep.
You know, we expect to wake up every morning and them be there. And I just want to touch on one thing. You say, as a human, we're going to question God, even though in our heart we know God don't make no mistakes. But it's the human side that we get emotional and we think about, you know, what happened to me. But we know God doesn't make no mistakes. And whew, this is a good one for me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yep. It was
So
okay.
yeah. So George, you happen to be on the other end of it. Unfortunately, you know, you suffered from the same loss as you lost your wife.
Yeah.
So kind of like Shanika did, um, kind of open up and just share to us, you know, what that's like, and you know how the changes affected you immediately and how you dealt with it.
Um, well, my whole adult life, I've been with my wife. At first, I thought I was too old for her, because when I met my wife, I was working at Kodak. I was 21 and she was 18. And she was graduating from Marshall, and she asked me to take her to the prom. And Clemont knew me. I thought I was too cool and too old and too fly to be going to a high school prom. But she was so cute, you know. I was like, man, well, the good thing, at least she was grown. You know, the 18 is grown for a woman, 21 is grown for a man. So we met through a mutual friend, and we start corresponding. And the more we talked, she was more mature than I was. You know, I was still wild in the, doing stuff in the street, and I was working, but I was still halfway in the street, halfway working, and still also trying to go to church. You know, I'm a son of a pastor, um, and she stole my heart right off the jump. We got three children. 3 boys. All my children's by her. And like I said, when we was boyfriend and girlfriend, after I fell in love, she had me open from the start. So maybe 8 months later, I proposed to her, but we didn't get married right away. We had a little breakup, and we ended up having my first son. And so after we had my first son, I was like, well, I want my family together. I didn't grow up in my dad's household, so I didn't want my son, my first son, to not know what it is to wake up with his dad being there. So I'm real strong on family values, even though my lifestyle didn't exemplify it sometimes because I was a wildcat. But um, after we had our son, I proposed to her again, and we got married. We had a little shotgun wedding. I mean, we didn't have the bells and the whistles. We went to the Justice of the Peace, and we got married January 20th, 1994. And later on, we did renew our vows and had the big wedding. But when we first got married, we didn't want to be shacking up because she was raised in the church. Her parents was against it. I was raised in the church. My parents was against it. So we didn't want to just be shacking up. So I was like, well, we'll have the wedding later. Let's just do it the right way. We already got a kid, so we got married and, had our first apartment, and I had everything laid out. She didn't want for nothing. Um, as time went on, my wife was a Christian, and as time went on, as times I would go to church, but the streets was always calling me, So I was like, how they say the preacher kids is the worst, and in my case, that kind of seemed the truth. But nevertheless, she stuck in there with me through thick and thin. I mean, it's times my own pops, family members like, he ain't no good. You ought to leave him, because I was doing any and everything, But she said, in these times, she loved me so much. I'm gonna tell you this. I told her, I said, you too good for me. You don't deserve what I'm putting you through. I love you enough to let you go. Not because I just want you to leave, but I don't want to take you through these changes that I'm going through because you don't deserve that. You're a good woman, and and I'm not purposely hurting you, but I was hurting her in some of my decisions I was making in life. And she looked me dead in the face and she said, "You know what? When I took my vows, I took them seriously." She said, "To death do us part." And of course, that choked me up. Tears start coming, and and it made me love her even that much more. I can't even fathom loving another person as much as I did. That was my soulmate. We was when she passed, she was having health problems, and she had some strokes, and then eventually she got on dialysis. Um, and I took my wife out of work in 2017 up to she passed on uh, September 30th of 2023. And my world is shaken. Yeah, I knew she was sick, but I thought she would pull through. And she was having multiple strokes, and then she got on dialysis. And I stuck with my baby through thick and thin.
Amen.
And she started having health problems, like Jesus help me. Um,
Take your time.
she had like multiple strokes, and they were saying what was causing it. She had a blood infection, and her heart valve, pieces of it was breaking off, and it was like when her heart was pumping, it was like making it spread throughout her body. So that's why she started having more strokes. And the last month, she had just celebrated her 50th birthday, and she went in the hospital like that was on a Saturday. She went in the hospital that Tuesday. So the last month of her life, I was in the hospital by her side. I didn't leave her bedside until she had the operation, and I couldn't stay in ICU. But I wiped her because the nurses wasn't doing a good job, and It's like, Mr. Daly, that's our job, right? No, this is my job. I'm her husband. And my job at the time I was working, they didn't want to, they knew my situation and they didn't even want to give me a leave.
Oh, it went out on him. Hopefully it kicked back in. We'll bring him on.
Yeah, we'll wait for him to get back in, man. This is tough. You know what I mean? Just hearing his story, you know what I mean, knowing about our guy KJ is we knew this was gonna be tough. Even when I told my wife, you know, what I was about to do, she literally would say, You got a tissue? Y'all about to be on there
Right.
crying.
Yes.
I said, listen, I know I am, but God got us, and
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
you know, if we got to let our emotions out. It is what it is,
Right.
You know.
Yep. But I couldn't fathom his situation, right? Watching, you know, his wife go through something. My baby,
Yeah.
then it's like, wow, you know, nothing. So I can't imagine watching it, you know. So,
But the funny part is listening to his story. The first beginning of his story is similar to mine. Listen, I worked at Kodak. I was in them streets, you know. But it was the difference. My wife told me she loved me enough to leave me because she said it's either her or the streets. And I just happened to pick her, you know, because I was in love. I was totally in love. And you know, like him, we went to the Justice of Peace. I mean, we eventually went on and got married, but my story is similar. You know, we went to East High together. You know, it's crazy. George, go ahead. You can finish. I'll just tell them how our stories are so similar. Kodak, you know, out in the streets, you know, fighting from the church and on. You know, my in-laws was preachers. You know, it was crazy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. You just had technical difficulty, I guess, with my phone. My apologies.
No, that's
but
right.
So
this is what live happens. It happens.
Mhm.
And like, you know, like Shanika said, I don't even know if I could have went through that. You know, I mean, I would go through it, but just the phantom having to watch your spouse, you know, a godly woman who stuck by you. Oh man, it is.
Yeah, man. It's hard, man, because like after it happened, you know, like I said, I was thinking she would pull through. And the people, you know, you could never prepare yourself for that. You know, people were like, well, you kind of knew. She was, no, I didn't know because I was trusting God for her healing. You know what I mean? And she was a beautiful soul, you know. And even on her last days, you couldn't even tell my wife had strokes. You know how some people, you see the effects of it.
Right.
You know, she looked at, my wife still looked at young. She still was beautiful. She still, you know, she still looked at like she did in our youth. You know what I mean? And a lot of people didn't know what she was going through. Of course, close family and friends knew, but a lot of people didn't know. And you know, I was expecting her to pull through, but after God called her home, I I was like to the point where I'm just real quick. I want to share this with you. The two women I love the most on this earth is no longer with me. That's my mom. My mom was murdered, by the way. My mom was murdered, and my wife of 29 years and 8 months. So I felt like ain't no sense in me living.
Wow.
You know, and you know, a lot of my family and friends like, oh, he gonna go back to the street. They thought I was gonna crash out, you know. And to be honest, I thought I would too, you know, because my wife was my backbone, you know. And I thought I was gonna crash out, go back to the streets and getting high and getting drunk and all this stuff. And God spoke to me. He said, your mom and your mother and your wife is with me. But if I call for you, where you going to spend eternity? And I was full-fledged in my series. You know, I wasn't doing all the stuff I used to do, but I was still smoking my cigarettes and drinking, and you know, getting high and stuff. It wasn't as bad as it used to be, but you know, I sometimes I've been a corner or two, But you know, I know what the Bible says. You know, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. So I know if God had called my number, I know I was going to bust hell wide open. And all the things that my family, like Clema, I got family that's preachers and on both sides, her family, and you know, and she was saved to her dying days. Like, man, if God come call me right now, I know I'm going to hell. That's what I believe, you know. So instead of me crashing and burn, because when my mom got murdered, I was getting high, and I'm talking about I went from a dope dealer to a crackhead. I was a functional crackhead addict. I was smoking dope, sniffing dope, drinking every day because I was trying to kill myself. I didn't really want to commit suicide, but I was like, it's whatever. I was robbing people. They had hits out on me. And I was living reckless because I was hurting that bad once my mom died. So now, fast forward to my wife dying, I was like, I can't go through this again. I got to try something different because you know, life is worth living, and that's a disrespect to my mom, and this is disrespect to her if I followed those same, you know, same steps. So I chose to try God. You know, I reconcile my relationship with God. I'm saved up to this moment. I know if God called me home, I'm going to heaven. That's what I believe. I'm saved, filled with the Holy Ghost, and I ain't looking back. You know, all that stuff is in my rear view.
There
You
you go.
know, I know people say, "Oh, you did that before," but yeah, but God is a God of second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven chances.
Amen.
So you know, I just gave my life to the Lord, and you know, it's not easy. You know, it's times I was in the house, you know, end up quitting my job. I was in the house, my boys was taking care of me. It was the roles was reversed. I lost my house. I crashed two of my cars. I'm right now, you know. It's like I'm starting all over again. I got a decent job. I got a pretty good job, but it's like, you know, I lost everything. You know, after I quit my job, I lost stuff in storage. My boys was looking out for me to, you know, the job I quit. And then, you know, I'm a chemical mixer. So now I'm back doing what I love and what I'm experiencing. So things is getting better. But I didn't even want to wash my behind. I wasn't shaving. I wasn't washing up. I was just in a dark room. And God, you know, he spoke to me and told me, you know, you got to come up out of there. You got to snap back. And so that's when I just cried and prayed and asked God to help me. And He's been helping me ever since. It's hard because I'm trying to help my boys because they struggling with it. You know what I mean? My youngest was the same age as I was when I lost my mom. You know, I lost my mom when I was 26 and he was 26 when he lost his mom.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm trying to be strong for them, but also for myself. You know what I mean? But what's helping me is my faith in God. You know,
There you
I
go.
got a good church home. You know, I'm singing in my the male choir. You know, I go to the outreaches, you know, and I share my testimony downtown Atlanta at this what they call safe house, you know, they feed the homeless people and predominantly be a lot of drug addicts and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't look like what I've been through, but I've been through a lot. So
There you go.
um, you know, I share my testimony.
And we definitely appreciate
Yes,
that, man.
yes,
That's
yeah,
that's that's a
That's
very touching, emotional. I mean, I think we all was touched by that, man. And
yes,
we appreciate you, man. God bless you. And
yeah,
you know, we praying for the very best for you. And I
yeah,
admire your strength, actually. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because me and Unc, I know I can't begin to put myself in your shoes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I couldn't. So, you know,
yeah,
you're a strong one, man. God bless you
yeah,
for real.
yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank
But what I did want to ask you, Shanika, he was explaining, you know, some things that he do to, you know, keep his mental right. What are some things that you may do to kind of cope with your feelings for, you know, the time being? Because there's no such thing as really getting over death. You know what I mean? You just are good for the time being.
yeah, like you said it. You cope. You just learn to cope with the physical. You know, no longer. Um, but I mean, so over the summer, I kind of resorted to drinking. I never have drank as much in my life as I drank over the summertime. You know, I was kind of just out of sight, out of mind. Like if I'm out around things that don't remind me of it. You know, maybe I won't think about it or I won't hurt as bad. I shared a bed with that man for 20 years. I didn't want to go to bed. I didn't want to go to sleep. So I was outside, as the people say. So I think that was how I was coping over the summer. I stayed in our house for a year. I didn't want to stay there. That, you know, I avoided going home. But eventually I knew when the year passed after, you know, he had passed after a year, I had to move out. I no longer could stay in the house that we stayed in, you know. So the first step was getting out of that house. And once I got out the house, I found more peace. You know, I was more at peace, and now I still try to go out and, you know, my husband ain't let me do nothing.
Oh, I know.
Echoes. I was like,
And it sounded like you had a good strong man. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Sure enough.
he loved me.
we know.
But
Yes,
it's
he did.
great to know it. So it's different being in a world where I don't have that. Like, I don't, people lust, people like, it's nothing like my husband. Like, you know, so I get aggravated easy. I don't want nothing. So my coping now is just, I go to work, I do my bingo. I could play bingo more often. Hated me wasting all the money. Once he changed his life around and stopped gambling so much, you know, then I took it over. But you know, just going to work. Work was my peace. I literally started my job November 27th, and my husband passed December 12th. Tell you, I didn't go back to work till like the second week in January, and they paid me for every single day that I was gone.
Oh,
Started
wow.
lose my
That's
job.
a blessing.
So,
Yes.
you know, when I tell you everything was just like, I had the best support that a person can have in a situation as mine. Hurt is hurt. I don't care if you lose your mama, sister, cousin, brother. I never judge anybody hurt because I didn't lose that, you know, person. My pain is pain. At the end of the day, that person is no longer, you know, with you. So just getting out and trying to be regular, and you know what I'm saying, trying to still support my kids and go to things, and it's hard, you know, it's really hard, especially having older kids, and thank God they were older because it made it a little easier. It made it a little easier for me. I'm sorry.
Draco,
It's all right. Hey, Draco. Hey,
My dog
Draco.
Yo, Draco.
We know Draco.
we know.
Little stuff like that, you know. Get out. Everything that's if the number 4, if the sun shine, I've learned to make everything be a positive sign. It, you know, making me cry or sad or, you know, anything. Every little thing. 12s come out. He died at 12, you know, December.
Yeah.
A positive way. If I see the number 4 and 413 always come back to back, that's my baby birthday. So I'm going to just embrace what I had. I always look at pictures. I stay in my memories because I always I don't want to forget, you know?
Right.
So that helps, you know, that helped a lot. And the tears aren't as bad as they were before because now I can smile and remember what that picture was, what that moment was, or, you know. So some people don't like looking at pictures. I love looking at pictures. I look at my baby every single day. I'm just learning to cope. You know, I'm just coping. I'm just existing, but I'm trying to live because while I got life, you know what I'm saying? I gotta learn to live it. I just gotta slowly but surely. I'm slowly trying to live it.
I mean, like I told George, I admire your strength as well. And you're doing a good job at living. And I do know you definitely have a great support system. So
Yeah.
I can see how, you know, it makes it a little bit easier. The love is there.
Yeah.
Out the camera.
Hey, Draco.
Draco. Yeah, I just want to say you guys are unbelievably strong. I'm thanking y'all for coming out here to tell your story. One of the reasons why I joined Terry in doing this is if we touch one or two people who've been through what we've been through or what you guys been through, and it helps them, then we're doing a good job. This is not for fame. This is not for fortune. You see that I get emotional. I'm an emotional guy. But your story needed to be told. And that's why I reached out to both of y'all. I follow y'all, Shanika family. I watch y'all go through your pain and everything you're going through. I didn't know George was going through as much as you was going through, George. You. I am so proud of you. God has blessed you.
Yeah.
And my prayers are that you continue to stay on the path and let God strengthen you. And I just say when you're weak, me and Terry said put God first, everything else follows.
Yeah.
But I'm really thankful that y'all came out here and told y'all story. I really am. I didn't know your wife, George, but I could tell she was a great woman. I knew Kenny all his life, pretty much. I knew he was a great man. Oh my God, that's her husband. That's Auntie husband. Her and Kenny all laugh. And so it's like
it was mutual booze.
yes. So I'm leaving it to you, Terry. You go for it.
No, I just want to piggyback off what you're saying and thank you guys for coming on Married with Knowledge and just sharing your stories. Again, like Unc said, if we can get our stories and our experiences out there and it can help someone in their life, then we're doing something. We're adding something to the world. So again, thank you both for joining us. But that is our show for today. So thank you all for watching. We will be back next week with a new episode. As always, put God first and everything else will follow. Peace.
Thank y'all.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me. I bid you all Godspeed, sister. Keep doing what you're doing. Clee, I love you, man. And Terry, man, I love you too. I know we don't know each other on a personal level, but the fact that y'all opened up a platform to give people insight on what people go through their everyday life, that's a blessing, man. So y'all keep doing what y'all doing, man, and I bid you well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Shanika, anything?
Well, I just want to just, tell anybody who, going through maybe what I'm going through, while you inside, there's still life to live, so just try to embrace it. And just, live it to the best, but you don't have to forget, you don't have to forget your person. You never got to forget them. So just remember while you have breath in your body, just live it to the best of your ability because tomorrow not promised. But thank you.
Amen.
I love
Thank
y'all.
you.
All right.
Married with Knowledge. Peace.
All right.